Hey! Oh my gosh, it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, which means what?
Live and unscripted.
Live and unscripted. This is your January 31st, 2024 episode edition. I don't know, coming to you live from my office. Oh, it's a gorgeous day.
Wait, pause.
Yeah.
Isn't your
Whoa.
office usually outside?
Oh, yeah. My indoor office.
Okay.
My indoor office. I do have many outdoor offices. Thank you for that reminder. We were just having that discussion. I had a voice message that used to say, if you're getting this message, please leave a message because I'm probably in one of my outdoor offices, which means I'm out playing or being in nature. Oh wait, playing. Actually, refueling, reviving.
Did you say refilling?
Refilling,
Oh, okay.
but also refeeling.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like that.
all of that.
Refilling.
Just taking moments to disconnect from all of this stuff and all of the hubbub that goes on in daily life and just I love it. I love it. So this is a podcast where a video cast where we let inspiration be the guide. We don't have a guest today other than our beautiful selves. And so typically we have a guest that we've met randomly and invited to be on the podcast because they just have a good vibe or they have a really cool story that within a really short conversation, I find the words coming out of my mouth. Hey, do you want to come be on our podcast? And what I love about it is the opportunity to get to know somebody live and unscripted right here with you. And we let inspiration be the guide. So our next guest, we actually have 3 on the docket, but we haven't scheduled them. So I'm not sure which one it will be.
Yeah.
All 3 are pretty incredible. 2 come from Canada and 1 comes from right here in Idaho Falls.
Which one are you thinking?
Justin.
Oh,
no,
Justin.
Tyler.
Tyler. I was like, Justin,
Tyler.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, we hiked yesterday for the Righteous Rebels. No. For the Spitfire, which is a race that I host in April. And I would highly recommend coming and being a part of that. It's an amazing trail race on the rims of 2 dormant volcanoes. If you're a 30 and 55K runner, you get 2 dormant volcanoes. Everyone else gets the amazing experience of 1. And these are 2 of the world's largest dormant tufted volcanoes. So we were out with a media crew, not a media crew, marketing crew from one of our sponsors. Thank you, Mount View Hospital and IFCH, and hiking and having a really great time. And found out that one of them created his own company called Bofidy's Nuts. And we got to have the trail mixes while we were out, and it was fantastic. So this is what I love about what I get to do here and what we get to do here is just meeting incredible new people. Debbie she just said, hey, beauties. Thank you very much.
Hey, Debbie.
That. Debbie's one of those souls that I didn't know LIgia had known. And I love that now I've had the opportunity to go to Canada and sit in her home and share heart space with her. So thanks for saying hi, Debbie. We typically start this podcast with a little breathing exercise. But I'm gonna be honest, this is part of what Righteous Rebels is a coming home to yourself through creativity and play. And it's about living life real, unfiltered, learning to hear your own voice and know your own heart and how to speak it. And we deal with the real and the raw and sometimes uncomfortable and all things beautiful. And typically we start this podcast at 11, and just before we went on, we had a beautiful moment of realness and rawness. And so today's episode might be a little bit short because we get to go play pickleball and we're done.
Yeah.
But I think the realness and rawness may be something that may possibly come out in today's just in what we're talking about. It's been I feel like we should have had tissues. I always have a tissue in my pocket because I have a continual nasal drip. But okay. When I talk about tender things, I feel big. And so that drip tends to be drippier. I hope that you come to us in Potato Land. Come in August when we can run the river and have extra amazing experiences that way. Anyway, so we start with the breathing just as an opportunity to get really present right here, right now, where you can let go of anything that's happened in the day. Thank you. And let go of anything that you think is going to happen in the day and just be right here with us. And part of the experience of allowing and lending your energy to inspiration. Also as a way to just be part of the conversation. So today, really, I'm just going to invite you to breathe, to just breathe deeply.
Right to your sit bones.
Right now, just as we're talking, just take a few big, deep breaths. Notice whether or not you breathe just up in your shoulders and your chest, or whether or not you push it all the way down. And I would encourage you to just pause several times in the day and just notice your breathing. And just breathe it in deep and let it out big, like empty your lungs. And then refill and empty. We read something about that today.
Yeah.
Where we love Mark Nepo's work. And I do think that's worth sharing because it just popped back into my mind. We really enjoy his daily inspirations in his book called The Book of Awakening. I would highly recommend it. The Book of Awakening. There was something in there about breathing that really kind of struck me. There were a lot of things in today's actually that really struck both of us in different ways. I don't have my glasses on.
Are you talking about the beginning?
Wherever it talked about the breathing piece, something about the answers are right under our nose and it's taking big, deep breaths. This something about the reflex to hold on.
So often we make a commitment to change our ways, but stall in the face of old reflexes as new situations arise. When gripped by fear or anxiety, the reflex is to hold on, speed up, or remove oneself.
Okay, pause. How many times do you find yourself holding your breath? Either recognizing it or not, just like you always feel like you're holding. That's why I say when you breathe out, like empty your lungs.
Or even speeding up, like when we get anxious about things, we're breathing so fast and so shallow. And I like the reminder of remembering to breathe right to your sit bones, like really feel that, even to your toes. Like I think of that one with Dewey, often just like right to your toes. Today my breathing feels really funny. Just I've struggled with asthma. I don't even know how to talk about that anymore. Asthma has been a thing in my world for a long time, and there's days where it feels like super challenging just to do normal functions, and I'm like, I'm not even sure why, because there's no triggers, and then I'm like, is that an emotional thing, where it's expressing itself that way?
My mind goes, let's look up what asthma means emotionally.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna pass on that today. Another day
for today.
We'll challenge and invite you to do it.
But yeah, so our reflex is to hold on, speed up, or remove oneself. That for me translates into running or withdrawing or
not using your voice,
going quiet. Yeah, absolutely. When we feel the reflex to hold on, that is usually the moment we need to let go. When we feel the urgency to speed up, that is typically the instant we need to slow down. Often when we feel the impulse to flee, it is the opportunity to face ourselves. That one has been so in my face in the last year of just how often I take that as a way to cope with a challenging situation, is just shut it out, shut down, or physically remove myself. And I've had the opportunity to really get to face myself in the last year. But taking a deep meditative breath precisely at this moment can often break the momentum of anxiety and put our psyche in neutral. From here, we just might be able to step into another direction. Is that the part you're...
Yeah. Somewhere we talked about the answers just being right there under our nose. And maybe I read that somewhere else, but just that piece of like taking a big deep breath in the moment, taking a deep meditative breath precisely at this moment can often break the momentum of anxiety and put our psyche in neutral. From here, we just might be able to step in another direction. I just think about how often I find myself in situations that start to get heated, or maybe my buttons are being pushed, or I want to find myself wanting to be explosive or defend myself. And I just, I'm just really grateful for the practice of learning to just take some big, deep breaths. It's even that pause for just a moment to let emotion move through my frontal cortex and to like run it through my thinker is what I call it, to let the emotions run through my thinker. Because I'm a huge believer in the principle I learned many years ago. I think I first learned it through a company called Outlook Development. That when emotion goes up, intelligence goes down. And that moment of pause for me and taking that big deep breath allows me to, like it says in here, to regulate and to find a space to be like, okay, this, don't take it personal, just listen the best you can, try and formulate thoughts. Sometimes it takes me a little bit longer to process things. And so in a situation, I don't always get it out right then, but I love the breathing piece. So this is me just inviting you and encouraging you to just pause for a moment and take a big deep breath.
So when emotion goes up, intelligence goes down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So remember to pause and breathe.
Yep. Practice the pause. And there's a pause in so many different ways. There's a pause in speaking, there's a pause in action.
Well, even
there's
just
a pause in,
like I think of when you're really in the just learning how to speak and taking that pause. That was one of the big things I learned in my Toastmasters journey is just I talked so fast, partly because of nerves and just not wanting to be, just wanting to get done and I'm excitable. I'm an excitable person. I have a lot of energy but just just recognizing that pause is so important for digesting, for giving people a minute to really process what you're saying. And I'm just thinking like how we don't even do that for ourselves, and just that important reminder, not only for who you're speaking to, but for yourself, to allow yourself to process.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because I'm listening to how we're talking today and the excitable piece, because we're both actually like excitable people. And I'm like, why are we like in this tone of just like, if it's not flat, but it feels more subdued and mellow. And part of it, I think part of it's because we had a moment before we came on here that was, it was big. It was releasing. And I think part of it too is just the, I don't want to say holding back emotion, but knowing that that emotions are close to the surface, and that we've had some really big things this past week. It's been a week now.
Yeah.
Of crazy, sad news and travels and meeting people and holding space for big heartache and listening to things that are really uncomfortable and hard to listen to, so that another person feels heard, and finding the space to use your voice. And I just, so
I think this is so fitting for today.
I guess before you go on, I'm just saying we're good. And that if you have moments like this where you're having discussions with people, this is real life. Like, we could have chosen to not come on. That's the reality. We could have said, forget this. We have pickleball in a little while. It's going to be a short episode. We're just not going to do it. But the reality is, this is real life. And part of what we're doing here at Righteous Rebels is making real life okay. All of the emotions, all of the feelings, all of the, like, just saying, yeah, we had some moments before we came on, and emotions are surfacey. And it's not that we don't want to share them. I want to be able to talk and move through whatever we feel inspired to share today. So this is me giving you permission and saying you're allowed to feel what you feel as well.
I think something that really came up and why this today's Nebo entry, whatever you call it. What do you call it?
I just call it daily inspiration.
Okay. Nepo's
What does
daily
Nepo call it?
Yeah, daily inspiration. I think why it just hits me is how I had a moment during this weekend of really recognizing a pattern of my own limits, of how I look for ways to limit myself when I'm feeling insecure, or I'm feeling unsure, or I'm in a new situation, and it just brings up a lot of feelings. And it was just really interesting to recognize me practicing a pattern, and it's not what I want to do. It's not something conscious, but this line of so he talks about dropping all that we carry, all our preconceptions, our interior list of the ways that we've failed and the ways we've been wronged, all the secret burdens we work at maintaining, dropping all regret and the expectation lets our mentality die. Dropping all we have constructed as imperative allows us to be born again into the simplicity of spirit that arises from unencumbered being. Like all the things that we build up to protect ourselves, or to just learn how to navigate our world, or how to
just be okay sometimes.
I think that's been part of the learning in the last little while, is just learning to be okay with not being okay, or just being okay that you're okay, because we've come across that too. I think
that part I think is wild. The being okay with your okayness, even when things outside of you are telling you shouldn't be okay, but that you are, and you feel it, and not judging yourself because you feel good or you feel okay, or like that part has been an interesting journey as well.
I just think of how long it's taken us to get to these places, whether it's conscious or not. And this really struck me today is it's often overwhelming to imagine changing our entire way of life. Where do we begin? How do we take down a wall that took, 25, 50 years to erect? How do you do that?
Longer, yeah.
How do you start deconstructing the way that you've always been? If you don't even have an awareness, or you're just starting to get new levels of awareness as you move through challenging things and new things, and get out of that place of autopilot. And I think that's why for me the idea of the river trip is so powerful, because it takes you out of your everyday, out of all your people, out of all your roles, and it really gives you a space to see who you are without all those constructs, like to really see what your strength is, and how to show up in powerful ways, and connect with people that you normally might not even connect with, and open yourself up to just new relationships. I think of what you talked about, judgment, and I think it was in the podcast with Jesse, about like how often because we're living a certain way, we might not even allow ourselves to interact with certain people because of how they look, or because of how they talk, or how they dress, or, we make those prejudgments. But I guess my whole point of all of this is to be gentle with yourself. I think it's is
this your land the plane Leah moment?
Yeah, land the plane.
No, I love it. But just say that line again, because it's one of my favorites.
Be patient.
No, be gentle.
Yeah,
be gentle with yourself. Like I heard the line. I like this line too. Like, put yourself on the gentle cycle. Like there's a song by an LDS artist, Michael McLean is his name. He writes a song called Gentle. I actually really love that song.
No, that song.
And just the concept of it. It's I shared it with you. We sing it at Joel's funeral.
Oh, okay.
It's a beautiful song. I would highly recommend finding it and listening to it. And just that reminder to, you know what? We're here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to fall down and get back up, and fall down and get back up, and fall down and get back up, which kind of leads me to what the things I want to share today, by way of some of the things that have been happening. And we had the opportunity to, first of all, are you finished with?
Yeah.
Is there more that you want to say that way?
just the piece of how do we take down that wall that we built, and it's just breath by breath and little death by little death. I love this line of dropping all that we carry instant by instant, trusting that what has done the carrying, if freed, will carry us. And I think that's the piece of trusting and surrender and letting go of what we think has been working that has really not been working, and allowing ourselves to be in a new space of relearning and rediscovering, refeeling.
It's thank you. I appreciate that. I think it segues good into some of my thoughts of like the journey we took down to St. George. We had the opportunity to go. I say opportunity. I mean, it was crappy. The feelings were crappy, but it was an opportunity because we got to learn a lot of things. We got to see people. We got to experience things that we wouldn't have had we stayed home. And but we had the opportunity to go down and do a celebration of life for an incredible, beautiful 24-year-old boy who took his life. And to be able to hold space for hurt and pain and questions with his parents and his family and the people who loved him, and to even question inside of ourselves, it's like, why does this stuff happen? And I think a lot of times, just even what we've been talking about, the walls that we build up of who we have to be or how we have to show up, or what we have to do. I talk about this in my TEDx, is like, we know the boundaries of where we find love and we build the walls around that. And for whether it's to protect ourselves, which I think usually is probably the case. But it was just fascinating as I was thinking about the word celebration of life and how often we tend to only celebrate in that way when there's been a death or a passing of a beautiful soul in whatever way that they pass. And I went down with those words on my heart, and we had the opportunity to do a little bit of hiking on a day. And I just I have so many thoughts running through my mind right now. It's part of the reason that I created, I can't even say that I created. That I believe I was given the idea for creation of Righteous Rebels, and part of why I was given the opportunity to meet LIgia and bring her on board in all the ways, and to start taking down my own walls. I'd already started the process. I thought I was creating a company for other people, which we are, but really the opportunity to look at that for myself. And the belief system that I have of life is worth celebrating every day. Every day holds a beautiful adventure if you choose to look for it or to find it or to make it or create it. And so that's been really on my heart, is just this celebration of life, and that it's up to us to celebrate our lives and to not wait until we're gone for other people to celebrate them for us, or their memory of what I don't want to say what we brought to the planet, but their experience of what we brought to the planet or into their world. It's important for us to celebrate now, every day of our lived experience. And that's a double-sided coin. Like, that means we get to have all the human emotions and experiences. It's not just the happy ones. It's, it was death that brought this celebration about, and the opportunity to see other people. And while it was sad, there was also happiness seriously, I'm not sure how to put them together. I guess, and for me, it was just being able to also be in a place that was so incredibly beautiful, by way of nature and the creation of that space on the planet, and to pause and be like, I'm every bit as great as the rocks. and the trees and the sands that I'm looking at, that I'm just as great and just as beautiful as are you, and as are you, and as is the beautiful boy who is now onto a different space. And I don't even know where I want to go with this. Help me out. Just
I I think that was probably my first experience with someone that had taken their life, and it really hits home for me, and it brought up a lot of feelings. And I think part of what that experience was is I just something that really sticks out is his mom.
I was
when she
hoping you would
was
say this, just the thoughtfulness of,
Yeah, like I just appreciated all that she shared about her son. And but the one thing that really stuck out for me, that she refuses to believe that it was a selfish act. And that just, it resonated so much with me, because, how everyone talked about him and his thoughtfulness and all those things. And I don't believe it's a selfish act.
we
I
don't encourage it.
No, of course not. But at the same time, it sounds silly to say it, but it's you're in your mind, in those spaces, you feel like you're being selfless because you don't want to continue to bring hurt and suffering to the people around you. Is something I don't feel people always understand, especially if you haven't been in those spaces. I actually 2 years ago, I put out my book, Living with Dirty Glasses,
Is there a
and
copy of it right there? No, there's right here.
and I talk very candidly about
You can order this on Amazon, by the way.
about that experience. And I think part of what poked at me going to this is, one, it's so many things.
I know. I'm not
even sure where.
And because we started late, we gave ourselves short time. So maybe we'll come back and.
I think it's just the piece of like, why did he go and I'm still here, and going to where you talk about every day is an opportunity to celebrate. Like, I know that every single day that I'm here is an opportunity, because I tried really hard not to be here in my younger years. Like, I tried so hard. And I think part of what struck me in going to that is just seeing the family. It was beautiful, and it was hard. And in those moments, I just really felt for my mom and what I had put her through. And, I love my mom, and you were going through things and I was going through things, and it's fine. And, don't keep bringing that stuff up.
Was this when you called? She
Yeah.
called and like was giving, like, we all come to that space of like, oh my gosh, I did this to my parents.
Yeah.
Like, those moments. And LIgia called and was wanting to extend like a really heartfelt apology.
It's just like, it's done. You were going through stuff, and I should be apologizing. No, I already did that. Let's move on. Like, it's so funny, and I appreciate her ability to look at it that way. And it's not that I'm holding it, just came up, and I just felt it strongly, and it would just come in these waves of just emotion. And you just don't really know people's stories. You just don't really know what people are going through. I was listening to something this morning about how often we will go to our phones and we don't interact with people, and how we're all starving to share our stories and just to be heard, and to share things that we've learned. And it's, yeah.
Well, and I think I appreciate the part where you just said, most of the time we don't know what's going on with people. We like to believe we know what's going on with people, even the people closest to us. But unless you're staying in contact and you're asking the questions and you're having communication, you don't know. And I think that was part of our journey. I know it was part of our journey before we went down is, we haven't talked a lot about this. We know you see it. We know that many of you have questions as to what has gone on, and maybe some speculation. And there's been a lot of life change. There's been a lot of life change in the year, and LIgia's here. She's made great changes. Life caused great changes in my own live situation, and there was a lot of feelings. There's a lot of hurt, and there's a lot that's unknown. And I think part of this celebration of life piece for me is and in the creation of Righteous Rebels is the I thought I was creating a business, and I still believe in God and or an energy that works with us, has power, gives us. We're not going to go there today. Um, I believe that I was led to some things, and that under the guise of creating a business was really creating that home inside of myself in a much more solid way, and going in and maybe uh, stabilizing places that were weak, or rebuilding foundations, which is can be painful, and to fill in places or to tear them down altogether and reconstruct. And as that has created a lot of discomfort for some of the people in my world and some of the people in your world. And um, I guess what I want to say there is, as I was thinking about the celebration of life, is allowing people to be happy even when we don't understand what's going on in their world. But even more than that, taking the time to ask the questions versus just passing a judgment. Um,
Because you're worth getting to know. You're worth people knowing you and valuing you, and seeing outside of the facade of what they think you is. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned in the last year is I thought I was like on top of the world, and I thought a lot of that I had things figured out, and I thought I had,
I think I did too.
just solid in myself. And I've learned I didn't know anything at all. Like I've said this before, but like I feel wobbly and reborn, and just, I told Jen before we got on, sometimes I still feel a little lost, and I'm still trying to feel out what direction is and what my voice is, and what is that, what my message was a year ago or 2 years ago is very different from how I feel now, because I'm not that same person. There's been so much growth, and my eyes open in so many different ways. I can't share that same message in that same way.
Yeah.
So it's relearning all of that.
Well, and I think we're hearing that in the conversations that we're having with people. That seems to be a common thread, is just this pull to start taking down the bricks, taking down the foundations, and the feeling of exposure and vulnerability that brings, and judgment from the people outside of us, who it scares them to watch you take down the walls that they're comfortable with and the foundations that they're comfortable with, because it changes how they have to know you. And it's scary, because then it's a cause. I think I'm talking in regards to myself and watching other people do this, and then now being in a place of doing it myself, like watching other people do it has been scary. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you shouldn't be doing that. And no, you can't. No, you can't grow like that. That's not in the ways. And now to be the person in that space, I have compassion for that. I have empathy. I also have pain, because the things that are said are hurtful and can be painful. And it's the have conversations with people. Like, don't just I'm going to invite you to not just spread and pass on judgment. Like, have a conversation, get to know what's going on, and maybe have your eyes opened a little or a lot, or make space for different thinking or greater love and compassion.
Take a second to listen, like really listen with your heart, and hear it through a different I want to say see it through a different lens because that's my book, but
just clean your
hear it.
lenses.
Yeah. Yeah, just really, I think it's hard sometimes to know how to start hard conversations or uncomfortable conversations or challenging conversations, whatever that looks like for you.
Maybe that needs to be one of our
How to start
like how it happens here.
How is that, Jen?
I think that's a conversation for another day. Oh my gosh, I think this is as you were sharing, I just thought, this could be taken as us passing on judgment, and it's not what we're doing. Or we're not feeling bad for ourselves. We're just saying, like, these are conversations that we've been having over and over in the past few weeks with several different people who are experiencing similar things, and just hearing and listening to their own growing pains and their own discomfort and their own hurt at being misunderstood or just not understood because people don't ask the questions. So this is me inviting you to, I'm also inviting myself, like I'm talking to myself as well, to stay out of judgment the best that you can, and to put yourself in uncomfortable situations and ask questions. Ask questions. I would much rather have somebody come and ask me a question than to pass a judgment.
And make assumptions about you and who you are and your character and what they think they know about your life, because they only see it from the outside at so many miles like away. I think of a bird's eye view. You're not seeing the 360 picture that is my life.
Yeah. It just makes me think of the friends that I have that live near the neighborhood, and we're not the kind of friends who hang out every day, and we don't talk every day. And in fact, I'm not sure we've talked in a year or more. But I know they're there. We wave a lot. We say hi when we see each other. But they asked a question to my neighbor, and I didn't answer the question. I said they can come ask me, and they showed up on my doorstep. And I just want to say thank you and send out huge kudos to them and to all the other people, because that wasn't a comfortable situation, I'm sure, for any of the three of us. But it was a beautiful conversation because it gave us an opportunity to connect, but it also at the right point gave us opportunity to find what was going on and what the truth of a situation is. So to all of you who put yourselves in those situations, thank you. And thank you for holding space for other people to do the same.
I think part of what makes it hard for people to want to go into that is because they don't want confrontation.
No, and I don't like it either.
No, and neither do I. But I'm like, I don't feel like it needs to be confrontive.
I don't either.
I feel like it becomes confrontive when we have an expectation for what the other person should be saying, or that they should take on a certain viewpoint, or that if they don't agree with me, like you have I'm just inviting you to check in with what your expectation is of how that should go before you have that. Like maybe try and go in open and see.
The words that keep coming to my mind as you're talking is stop shutting people up. Stop it. Stop like silencing their voices because they don't think or act like you. Ask questions. Ask questions. And then ask some more questions. And listen. Like really listen. You might just be humbled and have your heart handed to you in ways you didn't expect.
Well, I think it's that whole idea is we think we know the story. And I think that's more the invitation is come in with it with a curious heart instead of a knowing heart. And you might be surprised. And I think it's that whole piece of generosity, giving people the benefit of the doubt. How would you want to be seen in a place where there could be judgment, or you messed up or you failed or whatever that looks like for you? Like, wouldn't you want to be seen through a lens of generosity? And maybe that's challenging because maybe you don't give yourself that generous.
Well, and more
assumption.
often than not, you probably don't. And which
Gentle
is
cycle.
which is why we don't give it to other people. Like if we're judging ourselves, we're certainly judging other people. And um, it's been my experience that the people who I've run into who I feel are less judgmental of others really hold themselves in a gentle space. They allow themselves to make mistakes. They allow themselves to be human and to feel all of the emotions. And um, I think when we can do that for ourselves, we're more likely and more easily able to do that for other people. Personal opinion.
Yeah.
Oh wait, and my personal experience.
I think that's something I'm learning because I've lived in a way that I can do it all myself. I don't need anyone. And I think that's a way to not be judged and to not. Oh, Debbie,
You talk, I'll read.
But yeah, I think allowing myself to be more gentle with myself and to give myself reminder, like brick by brick. It took me time to get to this place. It's going to take me time to take down those walls and rebuild something else. What does Debbie say?
She's just saying it's important to listen to understand, and what often happens is people make each other wrong when they don't agree, and that's bullshit. Our emotions trigger things in us because of our lived experiences, so it may not make sense to someone or other people, but it doesn't fucking have to. We don't need to make someone wrong in order to be right for ourselves.
Yeah.
I full on agree. And but I have to say, like, I didn't always live in that space. And that's taken a lot of self-discovery. It's taken a lot of asking myself questions. It's taken a lot of asking questions to other people. And I think what broke that open for me is when I started traveling and I started seeing more of the world and how people in other places lived, and they were happy, and they seemed to have that glow about them that I was taught could only come in a certain way. And it's just I very much probably used to be more like that. And I'm just I don't know, I'm just extending the invite to be willing to see some things differently, and to trust that there's a power and a magic in that that's beyond what your mind is telling you.
I think,
and that it's faithful.
Yeah.
That it's a faithful action.
One, remember, a lot of what we carry isn't even ours. Like, it's just not ours. But I think we're gonna probably wrap up for today because we're running out of time.
We get to go play pickleball.
Tickleball.
It will not tickle.
For many years, those back in my asshole days. Okay, so when we're not feeling heard, we can show up, or we feel like we have to be heard a certain way. We can show up in ways that we're not proud of. I'm just over here listening, packing. Yes, yeah. Happy packing, Debbie.
Debbie is moving to another country, another really brave experience to go and see the world in a different way and experience people in a different way. And I hugely celebrate that. Yes. So happy packing. Okay. I think what's the wrap up? Celebrate every day. Celebrate life every day. Don't wait till people are gone. Celebrate the people in your life. Celebrate your own life. Feel the hurt, feel the pain.
Check in on your
people.
If they run across your mind.
Especially the ones who you think are doing well and have it all put together. Check in especially on those people.
What the heck is pickleball?
Don't even get me started about that you even asked that question. We'll tell you later.
Yeah.
Just check in.
Debbie.
Check in. Love yourself. Love your people. Celebrate you every day. Find something to celebrate you every day, and then find someone else to celebrate. Send those messages, even if it's just an emoji. Yeah. Let them know you're thinking about them before it's too late. And if you find yourself in a space where it's too late, Just know it wasn't your fault. Know that you're not to blame. And then the next time you feel inspired, reach out. Reach out sooner. Let go of that fear of like you're going to look dumb, or you don't know why you're messaging someone, or why they've even come across your mind and you don't know what to say. Just reach out. Just reach out.
And sometimes you can just say, I don't know what to say, but it was on my mind. And it opens conversation and creates connection. So,
and many times when I've done that in my own lived experience, the message is, how did you know I needed you today? Or how did you know I needed that thought? And you just say, I love you. You popped into my mind.
right.
All right, friends. Thank you for joining us for today's live and unscripted on January 31st. Whether you're joining us from, this is on my personal page today, it's on LinkedIn, it's on YouTube, and it's on our The Righteous Rebels Facebook group. If you're not a member of that group, head on over, join the Righteous Rebels Facebook group, and be a part of the magic that happens there. It also happens to be the place where we post our information of activities that are coming up, how to register for the river trip, and we also wanted to just end with reminding you that we created a year ago a really cool journal, something that we're really proud of, and to let you know that you can order that on Amazon as well. Did you have something you want to say about that? Or
yeah, I still love this quote on it. Unpack the mountains. They were meant to be climbed, not carried.
I feel like that's what we've been doing this last week.
Yeah,
a
definitely.
lot.
And it's this whole concept of having a backpack on, and it has a whole bunch of rocks, and it could be
all the shiz we carry.
Yeah, self-doubt, guilt, shame, whatever. And how heavy that is when you're making your passes through life. And so this book it's a journal, fill in the blank, interactive, fun little journal, where you can just
we're really proud of it and would love for you to have it in your hands. We'll just say that. Absolutely. Unashamedly, unabashedly. Go to Amazon and order your My Revelations journal. Wow, we actually did that together.
Do you think we can do
I was going to say, do you think we can do the next part together? All right. We love you guys. We're so grateful that you're part of our community and that you allow us to be a part of yours. And until next time, remember, be bold, be brave, be a rebel.
Here we go.